So I've never done one of these before. So I'm hoping that. Oh, look, there's hello Ruth. So Ruth just commented on my photo. So maybe while I just work this out, we'll just chat. Right. So, oh, there I am. There I am. Oh, okay. Hello, Janet. Hello, Kate. Oh, hello, Leanne. Look at all this. Oh, hello, Petra. Hello, Justine. Oh, is that Justine from school? Hello, Justine. Hi, Monica. Monica's an old friend of mine. Oh, hello, Leanne there. Thank you. This is fantastic. I'm not quite sure why I couldn't get it to work on my computer, so I'm having to do it on my phone. There's Sam from Sydney. Hello from Sydney. Thank you very much. Hi, John. I'm pretty sure I met John in was it in Reading a long time ago? Hello there, John. Hi, Lee. Jimmy Jammer. Good to see you. Love my Brummie accent. Yeah, yes. There's no getting away from it. I do posh it up every now and again for, when I try and be a proper author. But we're being casual here. There's Mark. Mark's, I believe Mark's a recent convert to the Gayle. So hello there, Mark. There's Ian. And there's Ed and Karen and Thomas, Emma. Oh, am I going to be writing about turning 50? Oh, that is a good question. And a question that maybe I'll ask. I'll answer a little later. Oh, hi, Steve. There's Jenny and Nick. There's Amir. Oh, hello there. Yes, we did meet at Reading, says John. Molly says this is so exciting. Thank you very much, Molly. That's I'm I'm just glad that I'm able to actually make it work. And there's another Michael Paul there saying hello. He's been reading my book since My Legendary Girlfriend. I counted, it's 22 years now. So clearly we're very old. Hi there, Nick. And girlfriend Sam. Hi, Glenda. And Rhiannon. Hi, Stacey. Oh, there, I found you. Thank you. Hello, Colin and Sue Griffiths. I won't just keep out reading people's names. I will do something, but I suppose I'm just warming up because I'm a little bit late. I should have probably done it from my phone anyway, but anyway. Hello, Joe, Selena. Oh, Melanie. Now, Melanie's been around for ages. She's from Germany. Hello. I'll give her a wave there. And there's Darren. Now you say I need reading glasses because it's all tiny. Sarah's watching as well. Caroline says, hi, Mike. Read all your books. So exciting to see you live. Nice to see you doing this. Thank you very much. This is me doing my little bit to keep you all happy. There's Alex. Hello, Alex. I met Alex. Where is it? Somewhere down in London. So hello there. Hi, Lydia and Barry and Scott. Hello, Scott. Selena. Alan says, well done for doing this. I've read every book, so I do get a loyalty card. Yes, it's in the post, which may never get to you. Hi, Michelle. She's been looking forward to this, and she's been since My Legendary Girlfriend as well. Rob's joined us, and Joe says, well done, good job, you technophobe. I am a technophobe. Hello, Tiffany. Now, Tiffany lives in LA, and I'm pretty sure I have met her when I was in LA a long time ago. She's been around for ages, so hello, Tiffany. And there's Andrew King and James Fuller. Hello from Levenshulme. So we have some Manchester people in the area. Sarah Pickering and Jessica and Paula. Do I keep out reading? Now, what's the etiquette here? Do I keep reading out names, or do I get on with the business of... Yes, it does beat Boris at 8:30. Hello to Rob Andrews from Bangor, and Ruth says, see that you are on live now. So exciting, thank you. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Lisa, all the way from Australia. How are you, Bab? You all right? Good to see you. And Jane, of course, I've met Jane several times. She met me in Brum a few years ago. And there's Jason, and there's Paul. Hello there from Paul. And there's Caroline. Oh, excited. Oh, she wants some Dutch translations. Haven't been translated into Dutch for a while, so hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe. Right. Oh, and Jessica says hello from Las Vegas, and it's William. Right. Shall I? I'm going to start doing this reading now. Oh, love the to-do list. Thank you very much. Yes, Janet says get on with it. Okay. So, my plan is to do this hopefully once a week. Who knows where we'll be next week. So here's the rest of my books. So here's My Literary Girlfriend. This is the new fancy cover that is that they did. Hopefully it's coming out the right way. So I'm going to do one of these a week. So we've got the to-do list up here. And then there's the Hope Family Calendar and The Man I Think I Know, Seeing Other People, Turning 40, Importance of Being a Bachelor, Lifestyle Party, Wish You're Here, Brand New Friend, His and Hers, Dinner for Two, Turning 30, and Mr. Commitment. And so I think the plan is to... I think the plan I've got is to sort of do one book a week. And there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 books, I think. And a 16th will hopefully be coming in July. Also, hello from Italy. Sorry, Simon from Italy. Someone from Spain. Hello, Micah from Spain. Yes. Someone says I'll always have a place in my heart for the old cover. Me too. Yes, yeah, I know it's strange seeing it sort of being jazzed up, but Men at Work too. You want me to do Men at Work? Okay, we'll see. My Legendary Girlfriend was my very first book, and it will. Whenever anyone asks me which is my favourite of my books, I always say the one I'm working on right now and My Literary Girlfriend, because it was the one that started it all off. And so I wrote this, I probably wrote it in the sort of early 90s. And what I like about My Literary Girlfriend, I'd love to hear from My Literary Girlfriend fans, because it seems like this is the book that people either really love or really hate. I still remember one Amazon review where someone said that when they finished it, they threw it across the room, which I thought, well, you finished it. A lot of rubbish books. I don't even bother finishing it. So My Literary Girlfriend, I love this book. It's not I don't think it's the easiest book, but it's a really funny book. And I think you've got to, when you come to it, you've got to remember, I think you've got to have some sympathy for Will, the main character. And I think it's reading it now. I mean, it's 22 odd years old now, and the times have changed. I mean, there's no, Will hasn't got a mobile phone. He's got no internet. This is a book about a man essentially who can't get over his ex-girlfriend, and he spends the weekend alone on his 25th birthday, and he's just moved to London as a teacher. And it's a really funny book, and I think some people have said, oh, it's depressing. It's not depressing. It's really funny. It's really funny. But rather than just me tell you this, I'm going to read to you. So I'll read the back to you just to give you some sort of context. So Molly says, I love My Literary Girlfriend. So excited to hear you read it. Oh, thank you very much. And we got some more My Literary Girlfriend fans here from Thomas Cothals. He says, My Literary Girlfriend was my first of your books. Thank you very much. So it says, My Literary Girlfriend. Meet Will Kelly, English teacher, film fan, pot noodle expert, ex-boyfriend. Still in love with the one, Will is desperate to discover if there can be another one. In his decrepit flat, where he can't even manage to cook spaghetti hoops without setting off the communal smoke alarm, his lifeline is the phone. Will realises with a single call, friends can either lift him from the depth of depression or completely shatter his hopes. There's Alice, who remembers his birthday, Simon, who doesn't, Martina, the one-night stand, Kate, the previous tenant of his rented hovel, and of course his ex, Aggie, the inimitable Aggie, his legendary girlfriend. Or is she? The Express called it the male Bridget Jones. The Independent described it as full of belly laughs and painfully acute observations. And the Mirror called it touching and funny. And so here's me reading My Legendary Girlfriend, a book that I probably don't think I've read from it probably in the best part of 20 odd years, actually. So yeah, okay. So it's described as a book, an hilarious novel for anyone who has ever dumped someone, been dumped, or lived in a dump. And sadly, I've been all three of those. So I can attest to that. Okay, so the book starts on a Friday, and it starts at 6:05 p.m. Mr. Kelly, which football team do you support? As I strolled along the edge of the pitch, clutching a football underneath each arm, I considered 14-year-old Martin Acker and his question carefully. He had been the last of my pupils to leave the pitch, and I knew for a fact that he'd lingered with a specific intention of asking me this question, because amongst other things, not only was he genuinely inquisitive as to where my footballing allegiances lay, he also had no friends and had selected me as his companion on that long and lonely walk back to the changing rooms. He was quite literally covered head to foot in Wood Green Comprehensive School football pitch mud, which was a remarkable achievement for someone who hadn't touched the ball all evening. Of his footballing prowess, there was little doubt in my mind that he was the worst player I'd ever witnessed. He knew it, and he knew that I knew it, and yet I didn't have the heart to drop him from the team, because what he lacked in skill, he more than made up for in enthusiasm. This was of great encouragement to me, proving that for some, the futility of an occupation was not in itself a reason to give up. While Martin was hopeless at playing soccer, but excelled in its trivia, I, on the other hand, could neither play, teach, or fake an interest in that most tedious of distractions. Owing to PE staff shortages, the need to impress my superiors, the mob of 14-year-olds that made up the Year 8B team was entirely my responsibility. The headmaster, Mr. Tucker, had been much depressed when I volunteered for the task. But the truth was less than altruistic. It was either football or the school drama club. And the thought of spending 2 dinner times per week aiding and abetting the kids to butcher My Fair Lady, this term's production, made football the less depressing option, but only marginally so. I was an English teacher, created to read books, drink cups of sugary tea, and populise sarcasm as a higher form of wit. I was not designed to run about in shorts on freezing cold autumnal evenings. I peered down at Martin just as he was looking up to see if I'd forgotten his question. Manchester United, I lied. Oh, sir, everyone supports Man U. They do? Yes, sir. Who do you support? Wimbledon, sir. Why? I don't know, sir. And that was that. We continued our walk in silence, even failing to disturb the large number of urban seagulls gathered, wading and pecking in the mud by the corner post. I had the feeling that Martin wanted to engage me in more football talk and couldn't think of anything else to ask. Martin's fellow teammates were bellowing and screaming so loudly that I was alert to their mayhem before I even reached the changing room doors. Inside, chaos reigned. Kevin Rossiter was hanging upside down by his legs from a hot water pipe that spanned the room. Colin Christie was snapping his towel across James Lee's bare buttocks, and Julie Whitcomb, oblivious to the events going on around her, was tucked in a corner of the changing rooms, engrossed in Wuthering Heights, one of the set texts I was teaching my Year 8 class this term. Are you planning on getting changed? I asked sardonically. Julie withdrew her amply freckled nose from the novel, squinting as she raised her head to meet my gaze. The look of bewilderment on her face revealed that she had failed to understand the question. These are changing rooms, Julie, I stated firmly, shaking my head in disbelief. Boys' changing rooms, to be exact. As you are neither a boy nor getting changed, may I suggest you leave? I would, Mr. Kelly, but I can't, she explained. You see, I'm waiting for my boyfriend. I was intrigued. Who's your boyfriend? Clive O'Rourke, sir. I nodded my head. I hadn't the faintest clue who Clive O'Rourke was. Is he a year 8, Julie? No, sir. He's a year 11. Julie, I said, trying to bait the bad news to her gently. Year 11s don't even have football practice today. Sorry. Don't they, sir? But Clive said to meet him here after football practice and not to move until he came to get me. She dropped a book into her rucksack and slowly picked up a jacket, as though her thought processes were draining her of power, like a computer trying to run too many programs at once. How long have you been going out with Clive? I asked casually. She examined the worn soles of her scuffed night trainers intently before answering. Since dinner time, sir, she confessed quietly. I asked him out while he was in a dinner queue buying pizza, beans and chips in the canteen. Hearing his tale of devotion, which included remembering details of a beloved lunch, was genuinely moving. My eyes flitted down to my watch. It was 6:15. School had finished nearly 3 hours ago. Excuse me. I'm afraid you've been the victim of a practical joke, I said, spelling it out, in case the penny hadn't dropped. Somehow, I don't think Clive's going to turn up. She turned her head towards me briefly before examining her trainers once again. It was clear she was more heartbroken than embarrassed, her eyes squinting desperately, trying to hold back the tears, and her lips pressed tightly together, attempting to lock in sobs, trying to escape. Eventually, she allowed herself the luxury of a carefully controlled sigh, rose, and picked up her bag again. Are you going to be all right? I asked, as though it was obvious, even though it was obvious that she wasn't. With tears already forming in her eyes, she said, Yes, sir. I'll be all right. I watched her all the way to the changing room doors, by which time her grief was audible. Some teachers might not have thought of her any more, but not I. Her image remained in my head for some time because in the few brief moments we'd shared, I'd realised that Julie Whitcomb was closer in kind to myself than anyone I'd ever met. She was one of us, one who interpreted every failure, whether small or large, as the outworkings of fate's personal vendetta. Clive O'Rourke's name would never be forgotten. It would be permanently etched on her brain, just as my ex-girlfriend's was on mine. And at some point in her future, most likely after completing her journey through the education system right up to degree level, she'd realised that a life pining after the Clive O'Rourkes of this world had made her bitter and twisted enough to join the teaching profession. I think we'll have a little break there, and then there's a few more pages, but I don't think my voice is going to hold up. So, yes, no coughing. I will have to self-isolate. So what I'll do is I'll answer a few questions here while I. Martin says he's passed all of my books over to his daughter while she self-isolates. So thank you very much for that, spreading the word. Well, let's see what else is going on. Say hello to Chris Perry and Laura and Caroline Russell. So has everyone got any questions about My Legendary Girlfriend specifically? You can wait. I mean, I can tell you. She says it's absolutely the best hearing you reading live. Thank you very much, and I will read some more. I suppose I'll talk a little bit about My Legendary Girlfriend, how it came to about. Sorry, hi to Tia. Tia's a huge fan. She's all the way from Sri Lanka, so that's love. Justine Edwards says, how long does it take to write a book on average? So with this book took me, I'd never written a book before. So this book took me about a year door to door to write. I think it was. So, sorry. I'm a little bit asthmatic, so that's why I'm coughing. I'm not ill. So what happened with my alleged girlfriend? I had moved to London. How much of it was from real life? Should I be jotting these down? Okay. Real life. Would I change anything? Can I read in French? You would not want to hear me butcher your magnificent language. Will is possibly the most frustrating person I've ever come across, but the book is so addictive. Yes, he is frustrating. Yeah, we can talk about that as well. So I'll start with, I'll talk about my alleged girlfriend for a little while. So I'd always wanted to write a novel, and did anyone inspire Alice or Aggie? Alice or Aggie, right? Have you ever been asked about giving permission for your books to be made into films? Films, we can talk about that as well. Right, so I'll talk about how my alleged girlfriend came to be. So I moved to London in the early 90s to do a postgraduate diploma in journalism. And I really enjoyed the course, and but I just seemed to have a lot of spare time on my hands, and so I sort of thought, I'll write a novel. I've got all this time, why not? I love reading books, and I started writing. I suppose at the time, mid-90s, I was thinking about it this afternoon about the sort of things that influenced my writing back in those early days, and it was sort of the whole Generation X thing and Douglas Copeland Generation X book, and the whole slacker thing, the whole slacker movement. So films like Clarks as well, Kevin Smith's Clarks, and I remember. Pardon me. I also used to. I'm going to sound so pretentious saying this. Someone's calling. I also used to, every Wednesday so when I was a student, I used to go to the Corner House in Manchester, when I was doing my first degree. And, who's this? Hold on, let me just move it out of the way. Yeah, sorry about that, I'm back again. So I used to go and see art house films all the time at the Corner House in Manchester, and then when I was moved down to London, I was working my way through all those sort of cult films, sort of normally the ones with subtitles and things like that, and I just remember I just used to read those sort of things. And so I think the novel that I wanted to write at that time was a little bit sort of pretentious, a little bit bleak, a little bit existential. And I wrote about 30,000 words of this novel and then put it in a drawer. And then it wasn't until probably a year or probably a few years later, by that which time I was working at Just 17, that I thought to myself, well, I'm going to take this out of the drawer and give it another go. And I reread the first 30,000 words, and they were very serious and very po-faced. And so I just thought, what this needs is some jokes. And so I rewrote it and kept writing, and it just turned into a really nice book that was about loneliness. It was about ex-girlfriends, but it had a sense of humour at its heart, I think. So yeah, that's how it came about. So some of the other questions that you had. Will is frustrating. Yeah, he is frustrating. I kind of like that about him, especially for a debut novel. It's really easy to write likeable characters, or people it's easy to like. But I quite liked writing someone who was so frustrating because, what I liked about him was that he was, you did want to shake him, you did want to shout at him, but But he's all of us, really. I think there are all times when we just feel a little bit pathetic, and so yeah, so that was he was frustrating. What else? Film wise, we came close a few years ago. There was back in 2007. It came very close to being a film, My Legendary Girlfriend, and I was always amazed because I always thought to myself, well, how would you turn a book that is so much of the interior of a character into a film? And it was strange, but they wanted to do it, and we came very close. It went to an American company, and they got as far as they were scheduling production for it, and then the financial crisis happened back in 2007, and so it never happened. So it's a shame, actually. So I'd really like to see that. Someone's asking here. Thank you very much. Someone said good answer. Alice and Aggie, are they based on real people? I always say that when you write a book called My Legendary Girlfriend, there's always a temptation for ex-girlfriends to come out of the woodwork and claim that they are the legendary girlfriend of the title. And all I can say, if you are an ex-girlfriend and you're watching this, is you wish that you're so important to me that I would write an entire novel about you. It's a little bit on real life, but not massively. I think Will is all of us when we get dumped. We all feel a little bit sorry for ourselves, and I think Will just goes down a little bit too far with just not being able to get over his ex-girlfriend. But I've got there was no Alice and Aggie in my life. I don't think, or maybe they're all Alice and they're all Aggie. I don't want to give away too much, do I? It's interesting though. I mean, it's funny. So the title is a thing that you might not know, is that the title My Legendary Girlfriend is I took from it's one of Pulp's the band Pulp's early singles was called My Legendary Girlfriend, and I bought that single back in 1990 in Salford Market. And I used to go shopping and I'd buy some singles, and I bought it and I really loved it. And a mate of mine came round and she saw the cover and she said, "Oh, that would make a really good title for a novel." And it was just one of those things I never forgot. And then when I was looking for a title for my novel, it just seemed to actually fit. So hi there, Heather, good to see you. So that's where the title My Legendary Girlfriend came from. So I am now going to read. I think I'll continue with the reading, and then maybe I'll answer a few more questions as well. Thank you, Nick. Nick says, I'll read some of the things that you read. Nick says, good reply, thank you. And he says, you are legendary. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. So this is the second part of the first part of My Legendary Girlfriend. Here we go. Okay, here we go. The sound of a small boy emitting a noise roughly approximating "Roar!" signalled that Kevin Rossiter had changed adrenaline sports and was now racing around the far changing room, naked but for his underpants on his head. I couldn't begin to fathom his motivation for such a stunt, let alone find the required energy to tell him off this close to the weekend. And so, sighing heavily, I slipped unnoticed into the PE department's tiny office, closing the door behind me. Rooting around in my bag, I discovered my fags slightly crushed under the weight of my Year 8 exercise books. I had only one left. I mentally totted up those that had fallen. 5 on the way to work, 2 in the staff room before registration, 3 during morning break, 10 during lunch break. It was difficult to work out which was the more depressing thought, the fact that I, who had only in the last 3 years made the jump from social smoker to anti-social smoker, had managed to get through enough cigarettes to give an elephant lung cancer, or that I hadn't noticed until now. As the nicotine took effect, I relaxed and decided that I was going to stay in my small but perfectly formed refuge until the last of the little people had disappeared. After half an hour, the shouting and screaming died down to a gentle hubbub, and then blissful silence. Pulling the door ajar and using my body to block the smoke in, I peered through the crack to make sure the coast was clear. It wasn't. Martin Acker was still there. He was dressed from top down, but was having difficulty putting on his trousers, mainly because he was already had his shoes on. Acker! Bewildered, Martin scanned the entire room nervously before locating the source of the bellow. "Haven't you got a home to go to?" I asked. "Yes, sir," he said dejectedly. "Then go home, boy." Within seconds, he'd kicked off his footwear, pulled on his trousers, pushed his shoes back on, grabbed his things, and shuffled out of the changing room, shouting, "Have a good weekend, sir," as he went through the doors. The newsagent en route to the tube was manned by a fat Asian woman who was busily attempting to serve 3 customers at once, while keeping an eye on 2 wood green comprehensive boys, lingering with intent to buy a copy of Razzle. When my turn came to be served, without taking her eyes off the boys, she located by Marlborough lights and placed them on the counter. It was at this point in the transaction that I got stuck. Twix wrappers, torn pieces of silver paper from a pack of polos, and fluff were the nearest items I had to coin of the realm. The shopkeeper, tussing loudly, put my fags back on the shelf and started serving the man behind me a quarter of bonbons before I even had a chance to apologise. As I brushed past the boys, their faces gleefully absorbing the now open pages of Razzle, I berated myself for not having used my lunch hour more wisely with a visit to the cash machine on the high street. Smoking myself senseless in the staff room had seemed so much more important then, but now, penniless and fagless, I wished with my whole heart that I believed in moderation more fervently. Stepping out into the cold, damp wood-green evening, gloomily illuminated by a faulty lamppost flickering like a disco light, 3 women approaching from my right caught my attention due to the dramatic way that they froze, one of them even letting out a tiny yelp of surprise when they saw me. It took a few seconds, but I soon realised why these women were so taken aback. They weren't women, they were girls to whom I taught English literature. "Sonia Pritchard, Emma Anderson, Pallavi Khan, come here now," I commanded. Sorry. In spite of everything their bodies were telling them, which was probably something along the lines of, "Run for your lives," or "Ignore him, he's a teacher who always smells of polos," they did as they'd been told, although very much at their own pace. By the time they sulkily shuffled into my presence, they prepared their most disconsolate faces as a sort of visual protest for the hard of hearing. Pallavi opened the case for the defence. "We weren't doing nothing, sir." "No, sir, we weren't doing nothing," added Sonia, backing up her friend. Emma remained silent, hoping that I wouldn't notice the furtive manner in which she held her hands behind her back. "Turn around, please, Emma," I asked sternly. She refused. "Pardon me." "Sir, you can't do anything to us, sir," moaned Sonia miserably. "We're not under your jurisdiction out of school." I noticed Sonia's use of the word jurisdiction. Normally I would have been impressed by any of my pupils during a word containing more than 2 syllables, but jurisdiction was one of the type of word only ever employed by characters on shows like Baywatch Nights, which is more likely where she'd got it from. Judicature, however, was the sort of word shunned by TV private eyes, tabloid newspapers and teenagers alike, and definitely would have earned her my deepest admiration. "Okay," I said, feigning acute boredom, "if that's how you want it. But I wouldn't want to be you on Monday, though." It occurred to me that perhaps I was being a bit of a git. After all, they were right. This wasn't the school time, and this wasn't any of my business. The only answer I could think of to defend myself was that being fagless had turned me into a grumpy old sod who enjoyed annoying teenagers. "That's not fair, sir," moaned Pallavi, rather aptly. "Welcome to the real world," I chided back, rocking back on my heels smugly. "Life isn't fair, never has been, never will be." I turned my attention to Emma. "Now, are you going to show me what you're hiding or not?" Reluctantly, she held out her hands in front of me, revealing 3 cigarettes sandwiched between her fingers, their amber tips glowing wantonly. I tutted loudly, employing a carbon copy tut of the kind my mother had used on me for some 25 years. All week I found myself doing impressions of people in authority. My mother, teachers from Grange Hill, Margaret Thatcher, in a vain attempt to stop them from running riot. "You know that you shouldn't be smoking, don't you?" I scolded. "Yes, Mr. Kelly," they replied in sullen unison. "You know that these things will kill you, don't you?" "Yes, Mr. Kelly." "We'll put them out right now, please." Emma dropped the cigarettes, Benson and Hedges if I wasn't mistaken, on the pavement and extinguished them with a twisting heel motion of her heel. "I'm going to let you off this time," I said, eyeing Emma's shoe sadly. "Just don't let me see you at it again." "Yes, Mr. Kelly," they replied. I picked up my bag and began to walk off, momentarily feeling like a Rooster Cogburn John Wayne, single-handedly sorting out the Bally's gang of desperadoes this side of Turnpike Lane. But after 2 steps, I stopped, turned around, and surrendered. Girls," I called out. "I don't suppose you've got a spare ciggy, have you?" I think we'll stop there. Okay. Thank you. Someone says, has there ever been a play in a theatre adapting one of your works? That is a good question. No, someone did approach me once, and then nothing came of it. But I think My Legendary Girlfriend is something that probably would lend itself to it, because it's essentially just one person and a telephone, and I think maybe there's something in it. So yeah, if you're feeling like you're a budding playwright, get in touch. I'm sure we could sort something out. Anybody else got any other questions they would like to ask? Well, I'll say a few hellos while you. Paul Hunt says, "Love this book. Thank you very much." Francesca is watching. Hello there. Lindell says, "Have any of your books been adapted for television?" We were saying My Legendary Girlfriend hasn't. It came very close in terms of film. At the minute, the only ones in development for TV are The Man I Think I Know and the recent one, which I can't remember. I'll come back to that. Hello, Lois. Lois is watching, and all right. People are asking about turning 50. It's a difficult one. I'm not 50 yet, so I've got a little while yet, and I think with both the turning 30 books and the turning 40 books, I did wait until I'd actually had the birthday before I wrote it. So thank you for, I love the hat. Someone says love the hat. Thank you. I'll see how I feel. Do I ever hang out with other authors, or do you prefer not to? I do hang out with other authors. Some of them are my, hi Lois again, are my best mates. Half a World Away, says Janet. Yes, that's the one. It's weird. People think, how can he not remember the title of one of his books? But what you forget is, I wrote Half a World Away 2 years ago. It came out a year ago in hardback and just come out in paperback. In between that, then I've written a whole new other book, which has got a different title, which I can't remember now. And since then, I'm currently now probably about 30,000 words into a new book. So I literally don't know what day it is. So I do forget the titles of books. Hi, Anne-Marie. Hi, Joanna. Whittaker. Hi, John. John says, when you released this book, did you, and I can't, it's behind this blue thing. I can't see what the question is, so I'll need another question to kind of come up behind it. And yes, did you think that you would still be going strong 17 years later? That is a good question. No, I didn't. Do you know what? I was just so chuffed to write a novel. I wasn't thinking about anything else. And, I remember when I got the first copy of My Legendary Girlfriend, and I just thought to myself, if it all disappears now, then it's been worth it. So the very idea of being here all these years later, or in fact making a career out of it, I think it's insane. Oh, hello, Joe Whittaker was Golden Gay. Nice to see you. Been ages, yes. Ian says, have you ever thought of writing a series of books? When it comes to a series of writing of books, no. Which is why I found Turning 40 so difficult. When I wrote Turning 30, I thought it was a standalone. I never thought I'd revisiting those characters 10 years later. And I think I would have found it a lot easier had I realised it might be a series. I mean, would I like to write a series? I don't know. I think it's. I think they're difficult. I think they're difficult to get right. And my kids love series and things like that. And I don't know. I always feel like you put so much into a book that the idea of and making it complete, and the idea of doing that all again, I don't know, it just makes me feel a little bit ill. Do you ever consider revisiting characters in My Legendary Girlfriend? Again, do you know what? My recent answer to that is one of my all-time favourite films is Gregory's Girl. And I adore that film. And one of my least favourite films is Gregory's Girls 2, and which is an awful film, which is a shame because I love that first film. And I just think with My Legendary Girlfriend, I got such fond feelings of it and fond memories of it. I just think, what if I ruin it? What if I do something absolutely, and no, I couldn't do that. So I like the idea that Will, having put him through, a nightmare, I like the idea that he's still happy. Karen has said, my favourite is Still Home. Reminds me of looking after my dad. I think you're I didn't write Home. You're thinking of my friend Matt. He wrote Home, which is a very good book. So yeah, Matt Dunn. So if you should read that. Janet Guthrie says the importance of being a bachelor needs a sequel. Possibly. Yeah, it could do. Any more questions about my Legendary Girlfriend? Is anything else you'd like to know about it? What else can I say about My Legendary Girlfriend? Let's see. So someone's talking about borrowing books. Hello, Dion. Dion is watching. There's Jim. Jim says, great performance, Mike, from the Ryan household. Thank you very much, Jim. To my mate Jim, giving me some props. So thank you very much for that. So what else can I? Right, I'll do a few. Let's. How long shall I give it? Maybe we'll give it 5 more minutes because I'm not sure my voice is going to hold out. What's your favourite part of My Legendary Girlfriend? There's a good question. So my favourite part of My Legendary... Now your questions are coming so fast that I'm going to miss them all. Is there any way for me to scroll back and see them? Oh, I can't do that. Who knew that? So I can just do that and I can see the questions. So, right, okay. I thought they were just going into the ether and I was never going to see them again. My favourite part of My Legendary Girlfriend... it's a really difficult one. I was because I did promise someone that I wasn't going to give any spoilers, but I do like that moment. I do like this opening chapter actually because it sums up Will's character really well. There's my favourite line is that line from the first paragraph which says about the people being the worst player he'd ever witnessed. He says, this was of great encouragement to me, proving that for some, the futility of an occupation was not in itself a reason to give up. And what I like about that line is that it basically sums up Will. You know, he's somebody there who he realizes just how hopeless and futile his life, not his life, but his pining after his ex-girlfriend is, and yet he can't move on. And I just like the fact that there's a sentence that sort of sums up the whole of the book. And I also like that the scene that I just read out to you, where Will tells off the girls for smoking and then asks them for a cigarette, because not only is it very funny, but it says a lot about him, I think. Federica says, I've read all your books and I love them all, but I find the last two very deep and meaningful. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Someone says, Anna says, where did I get the idea for Sandy the Donkey? Sandy the Donkey was interesting because it wasn't in the original draft. It was when I got a deal, and my editor had given me some notes and said, okay, we need, and she pointed out a few places where she felt it needed a bit more. And I suppose what she wanted to do was she needed me to write a few scenes that sort of showed Will's relationship with Alice. And I don't know where it came from in terms of the idea of a donkey. The scene was there to sort of show you more about Alice and Will's relationship with Alice. Where the donkey came from, I literally don't know. I suppose I don't know. The donkey, the pizza. What does she send? She sends him a donkey, a pizza. She sends him a whole thing of fags as well. So yeah, I don't know where that came from. Someone says, I know you slipped Will into Mr. Commitment as a cameo. Would you ever consider slipping him into another book? I did have a plan to sort of have people from each book making a cameo in the book that follows on. And I think I probably managed it for 2 books for Mr. Commitment. I don't think I did it for Turning 30. So yeah, I should have done, maybe. I should have done. My phone's saying it's on low power mode. Hi from Barcelona. We talked about so My Little Girlfriend was a pulp song, and His and Hers was a pulp song as well. So you're right there. I do like pulp. Are you still with the same publisher? Yes, I am. I'm with Hodder and Stoughton. It's insane that I've been there for such a long time. Phil Gale's watching. Hello, everybody. My brother is now watching. So, hello, Philip. I just wondered what questions you're going to come up with. Do you think that Will would still be a teacher now? Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with no, because I don't think he would last in teaching. A lot of my friends who went into teaching at that back in in the 90s have left teaching because it's such a insanely stressful job. So no, I can't. I don't imagine that he would still be teaching. Did you always know how My Little Girlfriend would end? That was a good question. Close your ears if you've not read My Little Girlfriend, or you don't want it to be spoilerized. So I'm going to talk about it in 3, 2, 1. Close your ears. I'll wave like this when it's safe for you to listen. No, it had a completely... The original draft had... was completely different. It had a very downbeat ending, which was probably part and parcel of my watching bleak, dreary French films with subtitle, black and white films with subtitles. And it was very serious. And when I sent it to my agent... when I got an agent, she gave me some notes, and one of the things she said was, I think it needs a more upbeat ending. And I was like, not really sure. But actually, she was right. And what I like about the ending to My Legendary Girlfriend is that because I didn't have it in mind when I wrote not only the first draft, probably the first 10 drafts, what it meant was that after that, so I didn't have that in mind, but then when she said do this ending, I was like thinking about ways of doing it, and I suddenly could see connections within the story that I'd written that could actually turn completely different. And I thought, oh, and that's how it came out. So it almost came as a surprise to me. And that's what I really like about the ending to My Legendary Girlfriend is that, you know, there's so much stuff that's just lurking there within the text. So if you know, there are lots of clues to what's going to happen within the story. Only you tend to overlook them. So, but I think it was the absolutely right decision. That I love the ending to my Legendary Girlfriend. Of all the characters, well, nearly no. I was going to say of all the characters, but I think Will is one of those characters that you just want a happy ending for him. So, yeah, I'm probably going to last probably about another 4 minutes. So let's have a very quick. Jane says she's going to reread it in these trying times. Please do. Will you be doing a live stream again? Someone said. So the plan is to do it every Monday at 8 o'clock GM. So the next book, I'm going through them in chronological order. So the next book will be Mr. Commitment, hopefully. Prem is watching. Steve Bly is watching as well. John says the birthday box idea that Will receives from Alice. He's done it himself since reading this. Thank you very much. It is a great idea, and it's it's good. So I'm sure that whoever it was who got it felt cherished. Hi Mike. Michelle Spicer says hi Mike. Came to reading your books via your brother Phil saying something on the Big Breakfast. So glad I did. I'm sure he's glad too. People are saying hello to Mike's bro. It's not about him. All right, just move on. Right, he's going to get loads of followers because of this, right? Nick says, thanks for answering all the questions. I think the upbeat ending really works at MLG and gives it a nice balance. Yes, I think that's it, because it is a bleak book, but it's a bleak book in the sense that he's got, Will's got his tongue in his cheek for most of it. But yeah, there are points when he's really down, so it does give a nice balance. And, you don't see the ending coming, I don't think, at least. Someone's saying the birthday box. The emotions that pass through your books are so real as if you have written them on the exact feelings. Oh, let me see. Can I do that without... I can't see what that says, but I'll talk specifically about My Legendary Girlfriend. I suppose, the thing is that I had lived in when I did live in Archway, where this book is set. I did live in a bedsit that was so tiny that you could pretty much sit on the bed and touch all four walls at once. But at the same time, I suppose I just. I suppose a lot of it was just being of that age. It's funny. I started rereading this, and I probably got about 2/3 of the way through, and I've got 1/3 left. And it occurred to me as I was reading this that I couldn't write a novel like this. 22 years on, I just don't see the world like that anymore. It's very much a book of its time in terms of me, but also in terms of the things that sort of go on in it. And I quite like that. There's an intensity about being in your early 20s and getting your first job and moving away from home and doing all those sorts of things. And I can feel that it's all been poured into here. So my voice is going. So I think we're going to round things off. So I'll just do I support any football team? I'm afraid not. No, I'm actually one of the things that people always say about Mine As Your Girlfriend is, are you a smoker? And I go, no, I've never smoked. But Will's a smoker, and the reason why I made Will a smoker was because I needed for him to have something to do. Jessica says, I love the little plot twists in your books. You don't expect them. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Thomas says, I think you've written about this somewhere before. Let me see if I can make that happen. But I would still love to have more upbeat books. Yeah, no, I'm missing. It's a funny thing with humour. Yes, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's a difficult one. Humour. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I suppose it's where I am. I mean, maybe eventually you kind of, I'll get these things out of my system, and maybe I'll go back to doing jokes. But even something like Half a World Away has got some really funny moments in it, and but yeah, I get what you're saying. Anyway, I think that is it. Thank you so much for tuning into my first Facebook Live. I was 8 minutes late, mainly because I couldn't work out the technology. But thank you so much. Hope you're all keeping well and keeping safe. So that was Mine As Your Girlfriend. That was my very first novel, available in all good bookshops. And next week's novel, should we all still be here, will be Mr. Commitment. And the cover says, to live together or not to live together, that is the question. Here's Sky. Hello. I need to do a shout out to Sky, because she's been around for ages, and she's a huge fan of the books as well, so she's very lovely. She says, I ordered Half a World Away last week, and I'm waiting patiently for it to arrive, so I can't wait. Lois says, thanks Mike, looking forward to the next one. We'll have to catch up at some point. Thank you. John says, thanks Mike. Maureen says, Gary says, do you know Lisa Jewell? Someone asked, I think earlier, about do I know loads of, do I hang out with other authors or do I shun them? Lisa is one of my very good mates. So I'm really good mates with Lisa Jewell and Jenny Colgan and Chris Manby and Matt Dunn and Matt Thorne and Serena Mackesy and lots of other authors. I mean, some of us we've known each other probably since the beginning of our careers. And the funny thing about the world of books is you always just sort of assume when you're outside of it that you'll all be sort of really jealous and really guarded. And actually, couldn't meet a lovely, more supportive bunch of people. Absolutely terrific people. So yeah. So thank you so much. Sky says, Mine As Your Girlfriend is my fave book of all time. Thank you, Sky. You're my fave Sky of all time. Thank you. Wishing you loads of hand sanitizer, says Tia. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. So yes. So I'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll be able to leave this up as a video. It's not going to go into the ether, hopefully, but so hopefully you'll be able to, people who've missed it can be able to see it. Anyway, Mr. Commitment, this time next week. Think of some questions that you might want to ask. Take care, stay safe, and have a good rest of the week. Take care. Bye.